Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Liesia, and today I'm going to be sharing with you my February wrap-up. So let's get into it. I haven't been on YouTube for the past 2 weeks for a couple of reasons. First of all, I got sick, and secondly, I went to Amsterdam to stay with my boyfriend for a week, and I am back now, practically this very evening. And I decided to share with you a couple of books that I have finished during this past month. The biggest reading disappointment of February was The Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson. I have expected way more from this book. I ended up giving it only 2 stars on Goodreads, and the reason is that it disappointed me basically on all scores. It is posed as a YA fantasy novel, but all I've noticed from this book is just pure YA, and let me tell you why. The premise is a classic one. There is a princess who is running away from an arranged marriage to live on her own, to build her own life, and she is being pursued by the abandoned prince of a kingdom, which is a neighboring kingdom, and an assassin who is sent by the enemies of her kingdom to kill the princess. So what could be an interesting spin on a basically standard plot turns out very disappointing. The land in which this story is set is your basic middle-age kind of fantasy land, fantasy kingdom, but the downside of this book is that it could have been staged basically anywhere. You could take a modern-day high school, put this girl in there, make her run away from her parents wanting to get her into a closed-up school. It will be pretty much the same story. So of course, this story develops in a very typical way. The prince and the assassin both get very highly engaged with the princess. The assassin, of course, has a tremendous difficulty killing the one girl who he was sent to kill, and the prince ends up liking the girl instead of giving her a piece of his mind. And this is a very predictable twist. I did not like the characters. They fell very flat to me, and I found that the main interest of the book was whether the girl was gonna get kissed or not, which I don't really have much interest in when I'm reading a book. I would love to hear some development. I would be invested in the romantic story, which did not happen here. Let's go up the ladder, and the next book that I have read during the month of February is The Curse of the Sphinx by Ray Wagner, and this was the pick of the month for the Peruse Utopia book club, and this is the first time I have read something along with the girls, and it was a curious try. I mean, this book is focusing on a heroine whose name is Hope, who is living in a modern American world, although America as well as all the other countries seem to be still believing in the Greek mythology, and for good reason, because the Greek mythology gods are still alive and present in this world. Fortunately, this story has a very unusual spin because it's following Hope, who is not a demigod and who is not a regular mortal, but she's actually a monster. She is the Sphinx, cursed to turn into this half-human, half-animal once upon a month. Because of being the Sphinx and being hunted by the gods, she ends up running from place to place, moving with her mother, but one day she ends up being all alone, and she has to face what she will do next. She has to make a life of her own. I gave this book 3 stars on Goodreads. I enjoyed this book. It was quick, it was fun to read, it was pretty easy to follow. However, it missed on certain points, especially the speed and the storyline. The plot is very slow. Pretty much nothing happens through the book. I haven't realized it was the first book in a series. I guess it's meant to introduce you to the world, but even so, I think that there's not that much interesting stuff happening. The first chapter was really very interesting to me. I thought that this would be an action-packed book. Unfortunately, I was sorely disappointed because the first chapter was one of the most exciting chapters through the book. As a heroine, Hope is very wise for her age. She's very mature. She makes hard, tough decisions. She's not afraid to be bold. She is straying away from making relationships and friends, but of course she still wants to do all that and have all that, and this is the conflict of the book, of her knowing that she has to be on the run and her not actually wanting to run so much anymore. This is the story of her building relationships. The main difficulty that I have had is that Hope basically gets to do nothing all book. She goes to regular high school in a place where she's living. She's making friends, she's making enemies, she's meeting a potential love interest, And this unfolds very, very slowly, and the climax in the end of the book is not that impressive either. So I don't think I will be going forward with the series, but it has been a very, very fun read for the month. Here's to a book that quite impressed me this month. It's called Daughter of Sand and Stone by Libby Hawker. Daughter of Sand and Stone is a very interesting historical fiction novel. I requested it on NetGalley, and I've enjoyed it very much. It has a first-person perspective, it reads like that, so it's a bit hard to follow for some people, but then you get into the story and it's very easy and very pleasant. It follows the story of Zenobia. Zenobia is a daughter of a very important and wealthy Syrian sheikh who is one of the ruling members of the town of Palmyra. Palmyra is this huge trading center which supplies the Roman Empire with everything they need: silk, goods, anything, you name it, they got it. Because of her Egyptian roots, Zenobia thinks that she is entitled to a ruling position, and she is very ambitious, and the book focuses on her and the circumstances that surround her. It focuses on her ascent to greatness, on her trying to raise the level of the Palmyra town, the hometown where she grew up, and I really enjoyed this book. It had everything. It had lots of action, it had lots of thinking and deep, thorough thinking and strategy, and also a bit of a love story, and I liked it very much, especially thanks to the character of Zenobia. At first she was a hard person to relate to. You would think that she's this kind of a spoiled young woman who doesn't want to get married, who doesn't want to relinquish control, but as you get to know her, you find out that she's a very interesting person, she's very deep, she's caring, and this is something I very much appreciated about her character. So I very much advise you to pick this book up if you enjoy a bit of historical fiction with a Middle Eastern setting. I very much like the descriptions of the atmosphere, the food, the smell, the views, everything. Even the camels. It has been plain gorgeous to read. It gave me this vivid picture, so I enjoyed it very much. Another book that has a Middle Eastern setting is a short collection of stories. Also, I requested it on NetGalley. It's called The Best Place on Earth, and the author is called Ailet Sabari. I was looking forward to reading some stories based on Israel, and this is what I got. I like them very much. I am 70% through. I just have a couple more stories to read, and each story is like 5 to 10 pages, and they're short but they're very meaningful, and they relight the atmosphere of Israel and the atmosphere of immigrants in Israel, the way that life is going on, the way that it's happening, the way that it's unfolding. It touches upon lives of people that have no connections to each other at all. I mean, they're totally separate, but by the end of the 10 pages you will want to hear more. But even though that they have mostly a loose ending, you get the sense of closure, so it's not like you get abandoned after each story. The descriptions of the Israel atmosphere are exceptional. It's very much advised if you want to read something that will transfer you into the place, into the mood. I would bet that you would want to travel there after reading this short collection of stories, because it is absolutely mesmerizing. It's following all kinds of people. The stories follow different people, like immigrants, like Yemeni immigrants, kids, adults, travelers, people that serve in the army, people that immigrated to work legally, and it's very, very educational as well as enlightening, because it shows some parts of the country which you had no idea about, and even if you live there, some parts still remain kind of hidden, but this story sheds the light on it, and I have very deep appreciation for it. The second to last book that I have read in February before leaving for Amsterdam was Career of Evil by Robert Galbraith, or J.K. Rowling. This is the third novel in the Cormoran Strike series. And oh my god, I've been waiting so long to pick this up. I have had it a while, but I have been afraid to pick it up because, as you know, maybe you get this feeling sometimes with good books. You just don't want to pick them up because you know that then you'll just go so quickly through it, you will regret not having the pleasure of looking forward to it. And this is what happened. I read it very quickly, like 1 or 2 days. It's a pretty huge book. So yeah, I read it while I was lying in bed sick. It's a perfect format for reading in bed anyway. And this is another crime story about Cormoran Strike, who is an investigator, and his secretary Robin, who's working for him, and one day she gets sent a parcel with a human leg, and basically the story starts from there. The police have the wrong suspect in mind. Meanwhile, Strike is very worried about Robin. Robin has lots of stuff on her mind. The relationships are unraveling. There's lots of mystery and suspense. Of course, I didn't guess who the killer would be, and it just makes sense that I wouldn't. And I'm looking forward to the next installment because I'm crazy for more information on Cormoran and Robin. They're the best investigator couple ever. They're not, I mean, yeah, you know, they're the best investigator duo ever. Like, ever. And last but not least, the book that I finished reading only yesterday evening. Incidentally, I started reading it yesterday morning, so I did quite well on that score. It's The Martian by Andy Weir. Oh my god, this book rocked. I bought it because my boyfriend wanted to read it, and I just picked it up to look at the first chapter and I got hooked. I didn't intend to read it at all this month, but I just kept going and going and going, and I couldn't stop until I finished it. It was amazing. I didn't watch the movie yet. I'm totally going to. If you don't know, the movie is based on the book The Martian. It has a very solid story, a perfect insight into the world of Mark Watney, who is stranded on Mars, a lone astronaut who is by a mistake, by a series of unfortunate accidents, gets stranded, and his circumstances are very dire. He has to survive on Mars for a very, very long time, and it's filled with humor, it's filled with interesting circumstances, lots of physics, but that doesn't really put you off. That makes it even more curious and makes you delve into the process together with Mark, and I just loved it. Perfect ending to a very good reading month. So, this is it for my February wrap-up. Thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. You can also click to subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I am going to share some cool stuff with you guys pretty soon. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye!